In true Mortal Kombat fashion, I'd love to see Shaggy take out a knife and slice his person into like little slivers of meat and make one of those huge sandwiches that he always made like on the show. You know what I'm saying? It's Mortal Kombat, bro. Don't act like
what
that.
What if it's like Fatality and the enemy's like, I would have gotten away with the...
No, Shaggy walks over to pull off the mask, but it's just their face.
Just the head. Yeah,
it's
right.
just their face. It's gone.
Their face skin.
Let's see who it is, Scoob. It's like,
zoinks.
Yeah, like, skull. Yeah. Welcome back to the Four Plot Podcast, everybody. Today around the table we have Richard.
Yo.
Trevor.
Cheer.
And Mike.
Hey, guys.
And I'm Will, and today is Super Bowl Sunday as we are recording this, so by the time you listen to this, one of the teams will have already won, and I will have not cared either way.
You don't like sports, Will?
Not a sports fan. You guys are the big sports fans around the table. I don't know, Mike, are you a big sports fan?
Yeah.
As he wears a cowboy shirt to the podcast.
Loyal fan.
I'm surprised you knew this was a sports team.
Yeah, I didn't. I took a guess.
You excited for them to hit a home run today, man?
Dude, I can't wait for them to score a few Quidditch goals or whatever that they're doing today.
Hey, now we're talking. That's a real sports game right there.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Today, we got a few topics to cover, a little bit of time to do it. First and foremost, we're going to come right out of the gate with this one, all right? We're coming just full bore, all right? I don't even know what full bore means, but we're gonna do it, all right? We're going to talk about surprise Titanfall game coming out Monday is what I read. Mike, you said Tuesday. I was reading Monday. Let's just give a few facts. So Mike's pointing at the monitor, telling me to read what's on the monitor. So
one might say topic fall incoming.
Okay. All right. Well, that's unfortunate that you would say something like that at the podcast because that's terrible. Anyway, EA reportedly releasing Titanfall, a free-to-play Titanfall Battle Royale game based on Apex Legends, or maybe called Apex Legends, but based on the Apex. You still loving that comment you just made. You still over there laughing at yourself. Based on the Apex Legends game on Monday is what it says here. This is from Forbes. Now, there's been rumblings about it for a while, but now it's going to be out there. EA releasing a free-to-play Titanfall Battle Royale game. Little twist, no Titans, as that we know of right now. Nobody's played it. They ain't even announced it, I don't think. Has EA really come out and said, like, hey, we're doing this?
Nothing specific. It's just mostly been rumors so far. But what's interesting is all the different rumors have sort of said the same thing. So I think everybody has a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like.
Right.
Really quick, around the room, rapid-fire review of Titanfall 2. Will go.
I liked it. I thought it was a great story. I thought the gameplay was good. For some reason, just didn't capture my attention long enough.
So like 7 out of 10?
Yeah. Maybe more 8.
Richard?
Gameplay very unique. Storyline, loved it.
Okay, outstanding.
Multiplayer didn't really grasp me that much. But
8 out of 10? 7 out of 10?
I mean, are we doing numbers now?
I would do probably a sweet 8 out of 10. It would be a 6 out of 10, except for the fact that we have so much fun playing that horde mode that they have in the game.
Yes.
What do they call that mode? It's the
I don't know.
It's been a while. It's
Robot
been too long.
Rampage.
We should try.
What it's called.
That sounds pretty close.
Destroy all monsters.
But no, it's a 6 out of 10 for me. Except for that mode is just so much fun to play with your friends. 4-player co-op.
6 out of 10, really?
Yeah, I have to say, I'm basing that probably mostly on the multiplayer because I didn't finish the campaign.
You didn't
The
play
campaign-
the campaign?
I didn't finish
I
it.
think that was the highlight of it.
It was
honestly.
good.
To be honest, I only played about half the campaign. I just don't really like FPS campaigns, but the multiplayer was really good.
I will say the campaign, it was like, I can't remember, it's been so long, but it was a very, very unique experience. It wasn't like a Call of Duty.
It was very good. Yeah, I mean, because you created like a relationship with your robot, your Titan. So.
Beautifully voiced by Matthew Mercer, man.
God.
Who is that, man?
Oh, God.
What does he
why
do?
does every week one of you have to bring up
Critical Role?
So I was, just a side note, that has nothing to do with Titanfall, but Matthew Mercer, I was watching, I've become so accustomed to this whole, like, and now I had no idea who Matthew Mercer was before I met Trevor and them in Critical Role. But I was watching Dragon Ball Super because, extra nerd here. And I was watching the new episodes, and there's a character called Hit, and I was like, that name sounds familiar. That's Matthew Mercer from the acclaimed series Critical Role.
I actually did not know that he was in that. That's awesome.
So it's pretty
He's
anyway.
literally anything that's drawn or animated.
Right.
He's a character
He's
in
in
there. Like,
there,
there's no...
Yeah, because I heard him talking, I was like, that sounds like McCree from Overwatch, who is Matthew Mercer from the.
absolutely.
Okay, anyway, so move on. All right, so Titanfall 2, Mike. What was your? You
No,
didn't-
it's fine, man. I don't want to give a review.
Well, I'm
That's
sorry.
cool.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I don't
just-
care. That's fine.
Okay, Mike doesn't.
moment.
want to-
No, great game. It's too bad Matt's not here because that's like his favorite game.
Right.
Still
It
play.
is.
It's one of those that was so weird because it came out right around, wasn't it, Battlefield 1 and
Both of
Call
those
of Duty.
Titanfall games came out
Yeah.
around huge mega launch games,
And
that
they went
were very
to,
similar.
They went to like $5 so fast. So
Right.
like, I don't know, the player base is not super strong.
Right.
But I always have so much fun when I play it.
Anybody else get the Titanfall game in a bundle with your Xbox One? That's actually how I got the Titanfall
No,
game.
it's not. It is not. I bought them independently. But I will say, as far as like this new Battle Royale mode coming out, it's free to play. 60 players, right? Hero type as well. So each unique person you pick, or not each unique, but there's like classes. I don't understand how it's going to like.
I have to think that they're probably going to base some of the characters off of the guys who give voice lines in the because
Oh,
you
yeah.
can change
It's
who
like
your
your-
announcer
yeah,
is.
it's like
in-
your faction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so, but I'm saying, so
I didn't realize there was that much lore in this game to work with. but
There's
apparently.
there's not. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they can kind of make up what they want to at this point. I mean, unless there's novels and stuff that I haven't read and I don't know about. Once again, I'm not deep in the Titanfall.
I just thought it was like here's the one that sounds like a robot. Here's the Australian one.
Right.
You know?
That's how I don't even really pay attention anymore. I only pay attention to the voice that you can change your Titan to. Like, I think Titanfall 2 did that. You can change the voice inside of your Titan that talks to you. It's really cool. But what do you guys think about this new one's coming out? What do you expect? Do you expect it to be any good? I mean, they're taking the Titans out supposedly, so it's just the gameplay of the soldier gameplay. Some people love that. Some people hate that. Some people play Titanfall 4 giant mecha robot killing machines, and other people are like, man. I mean, I know Mike and I were talking earlier today about how there's a good chance, and I believe so, that Titanfall does Call of Duty sometimes better than Call of Duty does, if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, and I think that's proven in the fact that when Call of Duty made its transition over from being, a modern military shooter game to being whatever in the world it is now, everybody kept saying, "Oh, it's a Titanfall clone,"
Right.
And so I think that anytime you're comparing almost everything to, it's like you guys talked about, the episode last week. If you're comparing everything to Zelda, that means Zelda was a pretty great game,
Right,
and so
exactly.
there are a lot of people doing the same thing with Titanfall.
Yeah. So, Mike, what would this Battle Royale, I know you're not a big fan of, you've come out and said you're not really a big fan of this release and what's happening. So what would this game have to have in it for you to play it, enjoy it? Like, how would this game surprise you and make you play it?
It's hard to say because I really don't like the Battle Royale mode all that much. It's just not really my thing. One of the problems that I have with it, it's this weird balance between do you want to do nothing for 20 minutes and try to get to the end and then kill a couple guys to win, or do you want to just go straight into the fray and try not to die? Like, that's more fun, but you're not going to win that way. I mean, if it was faster paced, I think it might kind of have its own niche thing.
100 people is a lot.
Yeah. So
Right.
60 is a lot smaller. If it's faster, like you're getting right in and, you can set up faster, I think I'd be happy with that. But I don't know, man. I just think it's going to be another drop in the ocean of Battle Royale games.
Right. So what about you, Trevor? What's something that this game would have to really... I mean, are you excited about it? Do you think you'll play it? I mean, you're not a big Titanfall player in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Battle Royale guy myself. I played, I think, about a half a match of Fortnite and uninstalled it immediately.
Which I would like to point out before we get any further. I just realized this. Trevor never plays any modern-day military-type shooters.
That is
at
absolutely
all.
correct.
How did you just realize that?
Well, I realized that, but Titanfall is probably the closest to like a Call of Duty like you'll ever play.
It's sci-fi enough for me because there's giant robots. But
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
without honestly, this is probably not a game I would ever play unless it was free. And it, because it is free, I might try it out just because Matt loves Titanfall. So
Right.
I might just try it out for him. But it doesn't seem like a game that's going to necessarily capture my interest.
Before Trevor goes any further into his Titanfall, will he play it? Just know that when you're on this podcast, Trevor plays two types of games. Trevor plays
Here it comes.
high fantasy
Yes,
or sci-fi shooter.
that's correct.
And that's it. Like,
That's
if
right.
you want Trevor to play Rainbow Six Siege? Nah.
I want to be flying around in spaceships or flying around on dragons, man.
And that's it. So please continue what this game would have to be for you to play it.
Dragons and spaceships would be awesome.
Okay, I think moving on now. Well, if they don't have dragons and they don't have spaceships, Trevor's not in. Richard, what about you? Were you a big Titanfall player? Did you enjoy it? Will you be playing this one or?
I think the biggest thing about Titanfall is playing it with you guys who also have it. So
Richard,
Absolutely.
Okay.
I totally agree.
But the thing is,
let's just stop
okay.
it. That was a very sweet
let's
moment.
take a
Richard, what you
Power
just
of
said.
friendship.
Power. Let's all
We
put
need
our
to- we need
hands.
to
up.
hug.
Let's go get our Earth badge, guys.
Oh, okay. That's it for the
You guys are
that's it for the
ridiculous.
podcast. We're gonna go hug each other for the rest of the afternoon. Okay, sorry. Continue, Richard.
No, but you guys got me good. All right, but but I think one of the things I think would be great for this game, where they're actually taking away, is the Titans. Like, I wanted to play a battle royale. If you want to play battle royale with the Titans, and unfortunately,
Could you imagine 50 Titans on a
that would be
giant map?
awesome,
That would
man.
be- that'd be pretty crazy.
And I think you could do so many different archetypes and just different modes with that. But unfortunately, this game does not appeal to me at all. As much as I do love Titanfall, I just don't care about another battle royale game. I've played Blackout, and I haven't played it in months. Or I'm kind of just done with it. But
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're coming from. For me,
it
I
had to
don't.
be unique. That's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, their battle royale. I can't see this game being, when they say battle royale, I can't see it being like Fortnite or PUBG. Like, how are you going to do that? You're going to drop me? Because if they drop in a first-person battle royale game, because in Titanfall you were first-person when you were all of it. I mean, you were all first-person. You drop it in where you're dropped into this area and you got to find the weapons and you got to do all this stuff. It's just Blackout again. Like, that's all it is. Because
Right. Sure.
I mean, you may can run around on walls and do things like that Blackout can't do. When I came into this podcast, I was not so much on the train of like maybe they made a mistake by leaving out the Titans, but the more I think about it, I'm like, that would have been a different battle royale.
Genuinely
it's called Titanfall for a reason.
genuinely something that keeps me coming back to Titanfall is the ability to like jump off a wall like and right onto my Titan and like get it. There's
Right.
little things
Yeah.
like that just make the game like so fun and
Well,
unique.
but we don't. And once again, this is all speculation. They could drop, and it could be like, I mean, probably not, because usually this stuff gets leaked by EA, and then it gets leaked out to press.
Or maybe
and
if you get a certain amount through the match and it's only like 20 people left or 10 people left, maybe there's a Titan aspect. to
gosh,
it.
the more I think about it, I just can't see them doing this and not putting Titans in it in
Yeah.
some way, shape,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
form.
And once again, we don't have all the information. So.
Right.
Well, I mean, the other thing we didn't talk about is why are they releasing this game? Like,
Yeah.
you got to imagine this is not a hard game to develop after you've already done Titanfall 2.
You've got
you
the
take
engine.
True.
all your engine, your assets, and just throw them in. It may just be a stopgap before they can release Jedi Fallen Order. That's the game they're actually working on.
Right.
Maybe it's just to make a little extra money to try to support everything. I mean, I don't think they're really investing everything into this.
No.
Like,
Side
you
note,
might
I
think.
was super sad to find out that the open world Star Wars game got canceled.
Yeah.
Another day, another
I was
time.
ready for
That'd be
it.
a
I was
great-
ready for it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, we get to play it Monday, supposedly, from what we're seeing online, and that'll be tomorrow. So maybe next week, or maybe we'll release a review, little thing on social media. Little social media plug here. If you don't follow us, you can find us on Instagram at 4plot. That's the number 4 PLOT.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
And you can also find us on Twitter at 4. That's the number 4. Plot Games, PLOTGAMES.
Absolutely. We'd love to hear from you. How do you feel about this?
Very
How do
good.
you feel about Battle Royale games?
Yeah, if you listen on YouTube, just drop a comment right down there. Tell us what you think about it. Are you going to be playing Titanfall? Heck, drop your gamer tag. We'll play with you. So, anyway, so Titanfall comes out Monday. We'll have more to say about that next week or on our social media. Moving right along, almost, if I could say it, smoothly segueing into our next
Look at that- look at that
point of
radio personality
conversation
coming
for
through.
today. I'm trying, man.
Nothing
I'm trying.
says smooth segue like saying smooth
Smooth
segue. Way to go, buddy.
Nothing makes
We're
a
gonna
segue
transition
smoother
now.
than saying your transition. Here comes your transition right now. So in gaming, and it's not just in gaming. It can be found in movies. It can be found in television. It can be found in comics. There is a huge, what you would call like a copycat culture. Meaning that people take ideas, and there's nothing new under the sun. We've all seen everything. If you've seen something once, you've seen it a million times, right? And that statement, can say it, and oh yeah, I've seen it. But the copycat culture happens a lot in gaming and in decades and in eras. Meaning that, like, for instance, Battle Royale. We just talked about Titanfall Battle Royale. It's coming out. Well, that's been like the it thing in gaming for like the last few years now, right? I mean, it started with PUBG. It was kind of the first big, like, oh man. I remember when I first heard PUBG was coming out and I first heard about it, I was blown away. Where I'm going, what? We're going to drop 100 people, no weapons, find them all.
There was such a anticipation and mystique to it.
Yeah, giant map. How are you going to do this? Turns out you do it by having Windows 95 graphics. But the point is that it was going to be awesome. Even though it looked crappy, we played the crap out of it because it was just so much fun. It was so different. And then Fortnite comes on the scene and just explodes. With Fortnite, because they did the free thing, right? And that's another, by the way, another little gaming copycat trend happening.
Sure.
Just make my game free.
Or the Battle Pass. That's
the Battle
Fortnite,
Pass.
Every game has that now.
So, copycat gaming is something that you've seen a lot. So let's talk a little bit about, is it positive? Is it negative? Do you mind it? How is Battle Royale? I mean, really we kind of answered our own question by saying that, a few of us around the table said oh, well, I don't need, another Battle Royale game. So let's start off with this question. What has changed your mind? Let's take the current copycat culture. What has personally changed your mind on Battle Royale games that now, most of us sit around the table and go, okay, Titanfall, you're a little bit too late to the party because everybody's done this. So what's changed your mind from, oh my God, PUBG looks awesome to, I don't even play this game that's coming out from a major studio.
I'll say, and by the way, I thought it was kind of crazy when you said a few years ago when PUBG was released, and I was thinking to myself, there's no way it was a few years ago. And it was. It was March 23rd of 2017 that game came out. Yeah. And it is now 2019, which is crazy how time flies. But I think my biggest issue with Battle Royale games is actually the same reason, and I apologize for this, because you guys are very good at it. And you play it all the time. And you guys sound like you're having so much fun. But I cannot play these Rainbow Six Siege game, this Rainbow Six Siege game with you. I can't do it, and the reason is the same reason I can't play. These the Fortnites and the PUBGs of the world is I want to be playing the entire time I'm playing.
Oh, you don't like the one
I don't
death
like
you're
the
out
waiting.
kind of
I don't like the one death and you're out and you got to find a new game.
Okay.
There's so many load screens. There's so, just the other day I was trying to drop in with my little brother Matt playing Destiny 2, and he was like, "Hey man, try to get in on the strike. We only have 2 people." And I literally timed it out, and from the time I hit open on the game, and I don't have an Xbox One X yet. I have the regular Xbox One, but it literally took 18 minutes.
18 minutes?
From the time I hit load on the game to get into orbit. And my internet connection is good. I have a good internet connection. It took almost 20 minutes.
There's all kind of things coming out now. Did you see, Mike and I were texting back and forth the other day, and I'd seen it on Instagram where you talk about those waiting games. This is totally off topic, but the Rainbow Six had released this thing where how to fill your time between games. If you got killed by
as a parody. Oh, that's too funny.
It was if you got killed by this, do 40 push-ups. Or
it was a fitness thing. Oh yeah, I remember you sending that. That's
weird
great.
Thing. Anyway, okay. So you never really been a big fan of Battle Royale games, but
yeah, I just if I'm playing a game, with you guys, I prefer to be playing the entire time rather than waiting half the time.
Richard, what about you? Were you a big Battle Royale fan?
No, not really. I think this whole genre kills it for me is that there's no really emotional investment in any sort of character or story, and so most of these games come out, they're just strictly multiplayer. So it's
you're a story-based guy.
I'd say I've became more because Halo was the only multiplayer game that, now that I think about it, that I was really, really into. But I don't know, man. That just changed how I game.
You're not super invested in Backpack Guy with bunny ears, man?
A lot of cosplay people are invested with Backpack Guy with bunny ears.
Absolutely.
All right, Mike, so you were my PUBG partner, man, right? We played almost every night, right? I could never drive correctly. You guys would never let me drive.
Oh, me either. No, you remember I got the car stuck sideways in the road.
Right.
Well, it's nobody's fault, but we're going to have to hoof it.
Was it you driving? Who was driving? It was me. I think it was me, you, and Miller playing, Ryan Miller. Who was driving, not on PUBG, but on Black Ops when we got in the back of that,
Oh, that was me.
Was that you driving that day?
No, I wasn't driving. I was in the...
No, that was me driving.
When you drove,
I can guarantee
drove off the bridge and, exploded. Yeah, it was terrible. And Mike wasn't even trying to, drive us off the bridge.
It's hard to drive in that game.
Yeah, we were evading fire. Anyway, so we played a lot of PUBG, a lot of Blackout together. What's something? How have you seen this copycat culture just kill the battle royale?
It's so funny to me because you talk about I've been playing with you since since PUBG came out. Yeah. Me, you, Eric, Ryan, kind of been playing. I've never really liked the game mode. But because it's popular, it's what we play, and I'd rather play a game with you guys, even if it's not my favorite. But I mean, it's one of those things where
there's just a power of friendship.
I know.
A lot of love right now at this table.
But that's one of the negatives, I think, of this copycat culture is if you don't like it, like whatever the big thing is, you're kind of stuck. Like that's what is going to be available to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak and say I really enjoyed PUBG for the Battle Royale thing. I thought it was a really unique thing to do.
I thought you liked it for the gear system, man. Just open up a treasure chest and finding brown shoes, man.
Yeah,
Gosh.
nothing like finding brown shoes.
The excitement, man. Just
nothing like menu management, man.
The euphoria, man.
We had this text thread to where the way we would let each other know we wanted to play PUBG was we would send a brown shoe.
Brown shoes emoji, man.
It was like just not even. It was like a photo of a brown shoe.
A couple different ones. We just any shoes by the end of it.
Because every time, if you remember when you played PUBG in the early days, I hadn't played in a while, but the customization and whatever you'd open, one of those briefcases that, by the way, let's just talk about how stupid that was. You had to, you'd spend money on one, and then, you could spend a certain amount of money a day on it. It would go up every time. So, your first loot box, all the loot boxes are the same. They're all the same. They're all some crappy briefcase, right? The first crappy briefcase is 10 point in-game points, but then the second one you bought was 100, and then the third one was 1,000. It would jump those increments so that you couldn't just buy a bunch.
Okay,
yeah, it was so stupid. But you'd open it up and you'd be like, "Brown shoe" was the name of the thing you got, and you're like, "God, this is freaking terrible." Man. Okay, but I love the Battle Royale mode. I was really into PUBG. Was not so much into Fortnite because, God, people are just too good. And
they're so good.
And when I say people are too good, just there's a lot of people younger than me that are really good.
So many.
And they just like to flaunt it, you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I would much rather watch than play.
Yeah,
genuinely.
There are plenty of people out there right now who are listening to me who are 13. If you're listening to this podcast, you could probably just slay all of us in Fortnite. Just terrible at it. But I really did enjoy Blackout. I thought it was really, really good. I thought Call of Duty just basically eradicated the need for PUBG. I thought that it was just so much better. Not as many vehicles. They should add more vehicles to that game besides the ATV and the undrivable trucks that makes the most noise and just it's terrible.
It gives you no cover when you're on the back of it.
But all that to say, just really quick, the Battle Royale mode for me is just losing it. Not because I don't still enjoy it, but because I'm like, oh, that again kind of thing. Where it's everything that comes out now, it's like, oh, okay. I mean, people on the Halo stream were asking, our friend Jeff Easterling, asking him things like, "Oh, are we going to do? Or is Halo going to do Battle Royale
and Halo Infinite?"
And listen, I got to be honest. There's a piece of me. I kind of want to see it. I kind of want to have a customized Spartan. I mean, really, it's just big team battle. It's just really big team battle.
It's really big team.
It's really a big team battle, and it'd be super fun.
I just don't like the one and done, man. I just can't playing a Halo game that's one and done. If you die once, you got to find a new game. That just doesn't sound fun to me.
I definitely understand your issues with Siege for that.
Yeah.
Even now, I've been playing for 2 years, 3 years. Game isn't out forever. I'm still terrible. Slightly less terrible. At least I know
not that bad.
I'm pretty bad. I'm not good enough to
time
live.
for glass.
Hey man, you don't play, so you don't get to say things like
no,
that.
Man,
you play
I like
us,
all the inside jokes, man. I just don't like playing the game.
That's our thing.
Okay, so, I'm sorry.
You need to respect our.
So this definitely the battle royale craze is not the first game type to do the whole copycat thing.
Absolutely not.
So what are some others that you guys feel like some other genres that had a long run of the same type of games?
Easy Super Mario, McKids from the NES.
Richard,
what words did you just use? What ancient Egyptian, Polish
Mario,
language
my bad.
are you talking?
My thoughts.
Let's try again. Super Mario. What?
Super Mario, and then McKids was.
Oh, the McKids game.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Mike's face is literal anguish.
My mind was working faster than my mouth.
Mike's face is literal anguish right now.
You went that Super Mario.
Yeah.
My mind was working way faster than
that. Okay. So anyway, so Super Mario with the McKid, the platformer.
Any platformer back in the 80s.
And platformer is interesting because platformer is about all they could do. Because even Super Mario.
Yeah, you had two options. You had platformer or Final Fantasy clone.
Right.
Every game was 300 bits, and you had to draw pictures with 8 pixels.
Mario wasn't the first platformer. I mean, you got to go back Pitfall on the Atari. I mean, that was a platformer.
Ooh, how old are you, Will?
Donkey, shut up.
What was it like when
you
they
have
made
to go
TVs
back to the Ice
color?
Age?
I remember when we used to play with sticks. Fire.
Shut up.
Huddling around the FM radio at night.
Yeah, man, you got to go back to Little Orphan Annie. That was the first. That was the first real platformer I can.
But he makes a good point. Like, what's funny about all of our favorite platformer definitely is Volgar. It's definitely our favorite platformer of all time. But it's funny, like they came out with that or re-released. I guess like, it's a remaster of an old game.
Yeah, which God, forgot to tell you guys. This
wasn't
is
like one of the first games.
This
with
is literally
gold?
Genuine excitement on the on the podcast.
Ooh, breaking news!
I filmed a video. I forgot to text you guys. I was at the Replay Museum, which is in Tarpon Springs, Florida, right up the street from us. We record this in Tampa.
Yes,
and I sat down at this nondescript arcade machine. There's nothing on the outside of it. I started playing it. It was Volgar, but it was like
original Volgar,
original like 80s. It's not called Volgar, but I took a video. I'll show you. Maybe I'll post it on our Instagram.
Was it as unforgiving and impossible?
No, it's the same game, bro. Like it's
Is
literally
it really?
the same. Like you hop down, get the axe. Like it's the same thing.
No
only
way.
I will post it on our Instagram
So
and our
cool.
Twitter as soon as we're done here. Anyway. So back to copycats. Platformer was a copycat. I feel like if I could interject something in there, I feel like the fighting genre for a while in the 90s was a big, and you can't say copycat, but I mean, where Mortal Kombat comes out, and Mortal Kombat is game changing, right? You had other fighters, and I'm using air quotes that you can't see over the air, but like, you had like what was the there was a Nintendo game called Urban something. I'll have to go back and look it up, but it was
Urban Planner.
No, it's not Urban Planner. I'm actually going to look that up while we're talking.
I believe it was Urban Meyer.
It's
funny. It's it's interesting. You guys, and once again, you guys talked about this last week. Talked about games that were so good that you compare so many other games to them, and so I think that's where it kind of starts off, right? Like a game comes out that's super unique, super awesome, like a Mario game, like a platformer, like Richard was talking about.
Right.
And there are so many games that follow it, trying to grab onto the coattails of its success. And so like you've got WoW for the MMO genre. Elder Scrolls is still trying desperately to be the the console WoW. You've got Mario for the platformer genre, and I think you found the one.
Yeah,
you were
Urban
looking for.
Champion was. I was just using the example, but like there were other fighting games before Mortal Kombat. Urban Champion is an NES game. My grandfather had it when I was a kid. I remember playing it. Like you literally fight, and there's like these two 8-bit guys, and you can just punch. It makes this awful sound.
Wow! So
then
you hip hop producers can sample that,
right? You you literally have to, and I've got it pulled up on our monitor. You have to knock the gentleman over here, roll him like to the next scene until finally they fall in one of these little. I'm going to post this gameplay. I'm going to post this gameplay on 4plot as well. You have to roll them into the manhole, and then you win. And then, by the way, when you win, like these women come out from this house above you, and they like spray confetti, and you're like doing all this like
flexing and like poses and stuff.
You just killed a man. Like you just threw a man.
By the way,
you
guys can't see our screen that we're looking at here, but both these guys literally just look like normal guys.
I'm gonna literally post this picture on our.
It's crazy. Well, here's something interesting, because we talked about platformers, fighting games. Call of Duty was a big one for a while, the Battle Royale. And I don't think that every game has to be its own thing. Like obviously you're going to pull from the genres, but if you're not doing anything different,
right?
Like if you're not evolving the medium, why are you releasing a game?
Well, and that's true. I mean, let's talk about I agree completely. Let's talk about some of those games that did evolve it a little bit and change it. I feel like when you look at, give an example. I don't like the evolution of it personally. Killer Instinct, it evolved Mortal Kombat a little bit with the combo system, right? Killer Instinct came along.
TJ Combo.
Yeah.
Combo breaker.
Right. So the deal, I didn't like it. I still am terrible at Killer Instinct. I still prefer Mortal Kombat.
So good.
But when Killer Instinct came out on the Super Nintendo, they even had the combo system and and you could do combos in Mortal Kombat, but it wasn't like, I mean, Mortal Kombat had the fatalities. That was like, I mean, that's really what
that was its thing.
Because let's talk about it. I mean, I'm sure there were fighting games before Mortal Kombat, but they really exploded in popularity with Mortal Kombat because they got so much attention for, number one, blood, gore, like the fatalities or whatnot like that. Because you got other ones. You got like Virtua Fighter and like all those other ones. And fighting game is a genre. But Battle Royale is now a genre as well. So it's one of those things where when you see somebody come out with a somebody sat down somewhere like, oh, you know what we should do? We should have people fighting, and we could do like a versus
Big sandbox. Yeah,
in
one
video
and done.
games, or
Sure.
battle royale or whatever, and then they just continue to copycat and copycat.
You remember how good we used to think those graphics were on the N64, man? I remember thinking those graphics were like cutting edge. I
Yeah.
look back at it now and I'm just like, oh,
Like,
man.
I'm aware that's a human. This is the extent that graphics can go.
Yeah, this is the future.
Playing like 007, it's like, look at that face, and it's just a flat face with a point for a nose. You're like, yeah, I mean, that's a real
That's
person.
a person. That's Pierce Brosnan. So here's what's funny though, and then we'll move on after this. Mortal Kombat was very interesting because they actually filmed actors doing all of that stuff. Those are the moves. Like, you realize that, right? Like, the reason that Mortal Kombat characters look like people was
because it's like renders of actual people. Like, it was one of the first like motion capture. Which is funny because there's actually a character in one of the Mortal Kombat games on 360 called Mocap, and it's very interesting. It's like a guy in a blue suit. Like it's really neat. So, speaking of another smooth segue. Ooh.
I hate when I do that. By the way.
Oh, me too.
Oh yeah, I know. When you listen back to season 1 of this podcast, I've tried not to do it this year, but when you listen back to season 1 of this podcast, like, okay, next topic. Like everything's like this straight cut.
Got to reset inertia, man. Don't carry yourself into the next.
So speaking of games like Mortal Kombat, specifically Mortal Kombat, there's of course a new Mortal Kombat game coming out April the 23rd. Let me check my sources here. Yes, the 23rd. Richard was right.
Dang, man, kudos. Richard. He said you don't know anything.
That's not what I said.
He said, I don't trust you to remember one fact.
Here's what's interesting. Looking at the screen, Mortal Kombat's coming out for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox
Sorry,
One.
kids.
I'm definitely I will definitely buy this game on the Switch. Like, I feel like that's a super fun like carry around. Like, what makes me play games on the Switch are games that are fun for me to like play on a plane.
You can bring with you on a plane,
or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like, I did it for the first time ever. Two games that I've repurchased on the Switch that I actually bought on the Xbox. I repurchased Shovel Knight, which is a great pick and play
one.
And Michael appreciate this, and I'm so mad that this game's not online co-op. Enter the Gungeon, which I have just quick promo. Enter the Gungeon, fantastic game.
It's a great game. Yeah.
Just a great game.
It's no Night Squad, but it is a really, really good game.
That is the best free game that Xbox Live has ever done.
Oh,
Night Squad?
Oh, Night Squad.
Anyway.
See, now we've messed up this perfect
Castle
segue.
Crashers is mine.
Speaking of
that's a good one.
Mortal Kombat. So a new Mortal Kombat game coming out. Like I said, it releases April 23rd. Really, this is not talk about much about the game. We can talk a little bit about what we want to see or like what characters will be cool. But if you guys didn't know this, a recent internet phenomenon has shown up in the form of Shaggy memes. And yes, I mean Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, not Shaggy the singer from the popularity of the song "It Wasn't Me." All right,
Matt mentioned that earlier this week. He was like, nobody wants to see
Mr. Boombastic.
Yeah, rapper Shaggy as a character on Mortal Kombat.
Lover.
Nobody knows. Listen, I got to be honest with you. For the longest time, I thought Shaggy was the guy going, "It wasn't me." But then I realized Shaggy was like, I have still to this day when it gets to that part of the song, I'm like, I have no idea what he's saying.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely not. Okay, so it's not Shaggy. the artist,
right?
But Shaggy, the Scooby-Doo character,
like Zoink Scoob, Zoinks.
Those people.
That was the best I could do.
That was good.
That's pretty solid.
Right?
I like that.
Okay, so Shaggy, he's not going to show up in Mortal Kombat, but it's been funny because this week people have been like, "Oh man, a great character for Mortal Kombat would be."
There's a petition.
Shaggy. There's a
petition with hundreds of thousands of signatures.
I cannot play a Mortal Kombat game with Shaggy in it, bro. I'm
just telling you, man. You better be careful, man. The internet is a powerful tool.
Weren't the Ninja Turtles in
Injustice?
But that's
different.
Hang on, wait. That's Injustice,
that's
bro.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that Mortal Kombat was sacred, like the characters. I didn't realize he put so much stock in the Mortal Kombat lore.
First of all,
there
I
are
am
horror
disappointed
movie characters in Mortal Kombat.
I'm going to get there.
Okay.
Yeah, please break it down.
I am disappointed in myself that I have not played the Ninja Turtles yet in Injustice. I need to go load that up. I have not played that. But okay, let's go back to. I even was a little bit like on the horror characters, right? I just downloaded them for like $5 because I loved Mortal Kombat X and I had all the DLC characters except for the horror ones. I didn't buy them when they came out. And I think Bo Raicho also came out. The Drunken Master came out with them. I don't even like them. Like it was very interesting to be like, oh look, here's Leatherface. I can run a chainsaw, because Mortal Kombat for me is just, it's like that ninja, like the movies are so great.
The movies, man, pinnacle of cinematography.
But I feel like for Mortal Kombat, Shaggy, there's a petition going around. There's even Ed Boon, who's the creator of Mortal Kombat, literally put out all these tweets, and one of them is an artist, like one of the...
It's a full render.
It's a full render, and we're bringing it up right here on our screen just to look at it better. A full rendering of Shaggy kicking Scorpion, like...
He's giving a righteous, like, knee to the chin.
In the face.
Fantastic.
I'm just not, like, I'm not...
It
What
looks
would
amazing.
be Shaggy's fatality? Like, if he had a fatality,
Well,
what would
they do the jokes online are all these like Ultra Instinct like
Right.
anime tropes, and it's very funny. I mean, I could see him doing anything kind of weird like that. But
Dude, Shaggy call the announcer calls for fatality, and Shaggy just calls Scooby, man, from side screen, and he just comes and mauls your enemy, man, and rips him to shreds.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I would love to see that.
In true Mortal Kombat fashion, I'd love to see Shaggy take out a knife and slice his person into like little slivers of meat and make one of those huge sandwiches that he always made like on the show. You know what I'm saying? It's Mortal Kombat, bro. Don't act like
what
that.
if it's like fatality and the enemy's like, I would have gotten away from the...
No, Shaggy walks over to pull off the mask, but it's just their face.
The head. Yeah,
it's
right.
just their face. It's gone.
Their face skin.
Let's see who it is, Scoob. It's like
Zoinks!
yeah, like, skull.
Fatality.
Yeah.
well, I'm sold.
See,
Okay,
the more you
okay.
talk about it,
Now-
the more you talk about it.
Now, if he makes a person sandwich, and
I'm
if
in.
he makes that, if he
Yeah,
makes,
I'll
if
pay
he-
the 15.
If he makes a Sub-Zero Dagwood, that 25-story sandwich, and just like eats it with
Makes
Scoob,
himself if he makes himself a Raiden Reuben.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I am.
That man just said Dagwood. Like I've heard that word in the last 10 years.
Come on, man, Dagwood, big
I
old
know.
Oh
sandwich.
man, I love it.
So anyway,
that's a. Wasn't there the guy Michael Myers from Halloween? Like, wasn't he? Wasn't he in Mortal Kombat?
He's rumored to be in this one.
Oh, dude.
Voorhees.
Can't wait to see his
Voorhees
fatality,
was
man,
in,
including Jamie Lee Curtis, man. Just
Oh wow!
out of
Hey,
nowhere.
did you see another announcement that came out? Me personally, I wasn't a big fan of this. Do you know Ronda Rousey is Sonya Blade now?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I
saw
did see
that.
that.
I saw that.
I'm not a fan. Like, no offense to Ronda Rousey or her fan.
No,
For
she's an
me,
incredible athlete. It seems a little bit. It seems a little bit on the nose, doesn't it?
I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. May get some down thumbs on the YouTubes over this. Okay.
No, don't say it. No.
Dude, hang on, man. You make Trevor's making the don't say this. Dude, to me, I'm not into UFC. It just seems like Ronda Rousey was a big deal till she got her butt kicked and then like disappeared off the...
I got you.
But,
Yeah,
like,
she
and
definitely
then-
got
and
kicked in
now
the head
it's
really
like,
hard.
Hey, guess who's in Mortal Kombat? That person who's not a UFC fighter anymore.
Yeah, she's in the WWE now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she literally
See, I
got
don't
kicked
keep
in the
up. I
head
don't-
so hard that she's in the WWE now. So.
Okay. All right. So I don't keep up with Ronda Rousey enough to...
I'd
to-
hate for them to mess with the ultra sacred Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
lore.
It is.
Yeah, God forbid.
Yeah, I mean, come
Okay,
on, man.
right now. All right, so quick rapid fire round. Like a character you'd love to see in a Mortal Kombat game.
Oh, character I'd love to see in a Mortal Kombat game. That is a great question. I would love to see... Oh, you know what would be a great character in Mortal Kombat? Oh, God, I can't even think of his freaking name. The ninja, the Ninja Gaiden guy.
Oh yeah, the ninja from Ninja Gaiden.
Hey, Yabusa? No.
I believe his name was Ninja P. Guy.
No, honestly, I think it's something super generic. I can't remember it, but
I
It's
wanted
just
to
Ryu,
say
right?
I wanted to say Ryu.
might be right.
I wanted to say Ryu.
Oh, I think you're
but
right.
It's
it's one of the 20 Ryus in video in
he's sort
video
of
games.
Ninja.
yeah, Ryu Hayabusa. Yeah, it's Ryu Hayabusa.
See, I
There you
was
go.
right, man.
See, guys, together we came up with
Yeah,
the name.
you know, I think that's 2 facts that you didn't trust me on today.
Well, okay, well, you
It's
just
2
said
for
hi-
2, man. 2 for 2.
Okay.
Although, in fairness, Richard, you you did have some trouble when you were talking about Nintendo earlier.
Just a little bit.
Man, I was trying to get my words together, man. Sorry.
Man, that
Usually
got me-
people do that
got me
before
real
they
good.
start speaking. They don't
Well,
just start a sentence and hope it ends well.
You just get excited and you just want to share your point, and it just
So
came out wrong.
that's the one that you'd like to see, Will, as Ryu Hayabusa.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I'm gonna look at some other people's opinions while you guys look up.
Absolutely.
Get your own.
Richard, what do you think, man?
Man, I have two, but one's really ridiculous. But I'm gonna do this one. This one's a
Go
more
for it,
serious
buddy.
one. Spawn. Spawn would be a cool.
Oh, I would
character
love
in,
to see
in Mortal
Spawn
Kombat.
in a
But
Mortal
I
Kombat
don't
That
think-
seems
game.
okay. I have very
That's my number
limited
two.
limited
Yeah.
knowledge of Spawn. Wouldn't that be more of a Killer Instinct character? Do you think?
It probably would.
Yeah, I'm really out of my depth here.
No, I mean, and actually the comic and really the movie, but especially the HBO cartoon of Spawn, I mean, they're extremely graphic. So, I
Right.
mean, I think he fits either way.
So here's what's funny. So I just pulled up a list of like this upvote thing that people like they list their characters and people
Yeah.
upvote it.
Like a big top 10
Number
list.
1 is Michael Myers. Number 2 is
Is
Spawn.
Spawn.
It's
That's
Spawn.
really, really
it got the second most upvotes. Pennywise, number 3.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
He's such a cool. It seems like a turnkey option. He's got like the sci-fi side and the horror.
Why
side.
do I not know who Ash Williams is?
I don't have
Evil Dead.
Oh, it's Evil
Oh,
Dead. Ash
dude,
is Evil
Ash
Dead.
from
Dude,
Evil Dead.
guys, no, it's Ashley Williams from Mass Effect.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's
No.
not.
I know.
It's really
We'll
not.
We'll talk later, Williams.
it's
pretty
it's really
jealous.
not. Mike, who's somebody you'd want to see in Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I don't really care.
Okay.
I want to be no.
Trevor. Go ahead.
No, you go, Trev. No, I don't care.
Yeah. So you said Spawn. That was definitely going to be one of my top ones. You guys are definitely not going to be surprised by this, but I would love to see Talion, and it's a WB game. I would love to see Talion
yeah,
from
that's
Shadow of
actually really
Mordor
cool.
That's
in a
good.
Mortal Kombat
Weird.
game.
Never would have thought that of you.
I know.
A Lord of the Rings character?
I know.
Wow.
Strange.
So here's some other ones people listed on their on this site. Let's just read a few.
Could you imagine, dude, his move set with like the
yeah.
the Wraith moves and stuff?
That'd be awesome. That would be a really great
Oh
character.
man,
to have.
awesome.
Venom. People have put on this list.
Sure,
here.
sure. I can
Venom.
definitely see that.
The
Mask.
The Mask.
Jim Carrey.
It's a Tommy gun. Like,
The next one
a
doesn't
terrible
count.
impression.
What's
The
the
next-
song that they do? That's what they need. The
Oh,
yeah.
that should be the fatality.
That's it.
Ouch.
The fatality is just that huge hammer that he drew.
Do the
Like,
rumba Pete.
Rick Sanchez.
yeah, Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, the Joker. But here's the deal: they kind of already did a DC Mortal Kombat. Do you remember the DC Mortal
Yes,
Kombat they
that
did?
was-
That was a horrible game.
Ooh,
bro.
that was rough.
Now, what's great is we got Injustice out of that because they did,
sure did.
you know, the studio NetherRealm, they made Injustice. But, whew, man, that DC, if you never played that, that is a terrible game.
The Punisher, that is really interesting
The
to me.
Terminator.
I'd love to see that.
Terminator is one I thought on this list. The Terminator would be that. I think Terminator in the game would be really
Is
cool.
that the? Am I reading the Nun from?
That's a
I
terrible
don't know.
suggestion.
We're getting way down the list now with like Ghostface Killer is on this list. Let's see who's on the bottom. Let's go to the very bottom. Oh my
I
god.
saw Sonic. Scroll.
Zit, Pimple, and or Rash from Battletoads.
Battletoads.
That's
Oh,
not.
they're in
that's
Killer
not
Instinct.
bad. Jason Voorhees is actually in
You know,
there.
Fortnite
Oh,
is a character.
Fortnite. By the way,
Fortnite's on there.
Fortnite more upvotes than Ridley from the Metroid series. Okay, just a few more, and then we're gonna roll on with this. I'm just looking for some other terrible.
Ooh, Sonic the Hedgehog. That would be super creepy.
Chucky from Child's
I would
Play.
love to see Ryu from Street Fighter in a Mortal Kombat game.
The cartoon alligator from the Twilight Zone, the movie.
I think that's a good one to end on right there.
Yeah, let's
That's-
just
that's-
be done.
Let's be done with that.
You really shouldn't have scrolled that far down.
I know. You just,
The internet is a scary place.
it is. You're getting into all kind of things like. I'm sorry. I'm just so. I'm not going to do anything.
I will
Okay.
say, I really genuinely hope that the internet wins on this one. I hope that they put Shaggy. I really hope they put Shaggy in Mortal
I
Kombat.
don't. I really don't. Okay. We got a little bit of time left here. An interesting thing we were talking about earlier. This was actually I was at PAX South this year, and they had this as one of their panels. I didn't get a chance to go to it, but I brought it back and thought it'd be a cool thing for us to talk about. Everybody knows that as a gamer, you know, it just comes to second nature sometime to like hate on games, right? You just like. You hate on games. You're like, oh man, like it's why can't they make another one of these? I think another thing like Ocarina of Time turned 20 this year, or maybe it was 28, but they turned 20. And you look back and that we talked about it last week with Miss Click on the podcast. Like that sometimes like the pinnacle of Zelda games for people. They're like, oh my god, Ocarina of Time has been that's the Zelda game, whatever. But then we also talked about things on this podcast like Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man that we go, oh man, it's so good. And Richard, the Spider-Man, the Spider-Man enthusiast here is like, oh, they don't hold up that well. So the panel was about this. I'd love to talk to you guys about it. Is the difference in game design versus like nostalgia. So meaning the panel was about this. Was about game design. Is it one of those things where game design, has it really fallen off? Have microtransactions and things like that really like killed gamers' like enthusiasm to play games? Or is it just the fact that like nostalgia is so strong that nothing's ever going to overcome those games, and they might not have even been that good, right? And what I mean by that is this: I told Mike today, in 2032, we're going to be sitting listening to some other guy's podcast, and there's going to be like these kids sitting around going like, "Oh my gosh, man, they just don't make games like Fortnite anymore." You know?
No, absolutely. That's exactly right. Yeah, the kids who are like 12, 13, 14 that are really loving the game.
Fortnite's what they're growing up on. You know what I'm saying? And we look back and go like, man, why can't they make platformers like Mario anymore? You know, and then you play a game like Celeste or something like that, which we've been playing.
Why can't they make racing games like the Pod Racer game on PlayStation?
That game was terrible. That nobody.
No, it was on N64.
No,
It was on
N64.
Yeah, the Pod Racer
So
game.
The game was pretty fun.
I had it and played it a lot.
I
just
had it
like,
on Game Boy. Which
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
all
a-
three colors.
it was a top-down racer. It was so hard.
Dude. So I have a coworker named Tyler. Tyler brought in a Game Boy the other day, and he was like, "Oh man, I thought about you and like the podcast, like play this." And it was a top-down like Mickey Racer was the game he had in there when he was a kid. And dude, those top-down racers are so difficult. Like
Yeah,
they're incredibly
not for the
difficult
faint of
because you have to change which directions left and right based off of what you know what I'm saying.
That sounds brutal.
Because the screen, like it anyway, it's weird. Okay, back to the point. Nostalgia versus game design. How powerful is nostalgia to you when you're like, right, let's just start off with this. What's some of the most nostalgic games you can think of? Like when you think of games right now, you're like, oh my, like that game holds such a huge place in my like gaming history because of the hours I spent in it and how much fun I had with it.
A game that like always for whatever reason like comes back to my mind's eye when I think about like growing up playing video games was Final Fantasy Tactics. I know me and Mike have like sort of talked about this game a lot because we grew up playing it. Did either of you guys play Final Fantasy Tactics on the original PlayStation growing up? Did you guys ever play like Final Fantasy 7?
I've never played a Final Fantasy game in my life.
That's
the
interesting.
closest thing to Final Fantasy I've ever played. Super Mario RPG. Sorry.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. Square Enix, though, it counts.
Best game
Counts.
that ever came out, man.
The best
Yeah.
game ever. You'll learn more about that
That's
later.
right.
Yes, you will.
That's absolutely right. But no, I think about like a Final Fantasy Tactics game. The reason that I bring that one up is because I know for a fact that I love that game because of its nostalgia. Because I've literally never played another game like that. Like I don't like strategy games. I don't like games with a ton of puzzles. And that was like a what would you call it? It's like a tile RPG basically.
Yeah.
Where
I
there's
mean,
a
it's
map and-
kind of like Fire Emblem or
Yeah,
Advance
it's
Wars.
that style of game. And so that one always kind of comes back to me just because there are games that I've played, throughout, the time that I've always played video games. I've
Right.
always played fighter games. I've always played like action adventure games. I've always played like RPGs. But Final Fantasy's Tactics is one that always comes back to me because it's the only game like it that I've ever played.
So do you think it's nostalgia that's so strong, or do you think it was just really a great game?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was a great game for its time, although it was probably more like a Fire Emblem clone. I
Yeah.
thought it was just a really, really fun game. I thought the characters were great. I'd say, another game that, it's funny you mentioned Spider-Man, like swinging around in Spider-Man, like wasn't that one of the first
Are you
games?
talking about Spider-Man 2?
Yeah. Like wasn't that one of the first games of its kind
I
to have like a
didn't
big sandbox and you were just like swinging webs like through the city? Like that's one that definitely doesn't hold up very well, but definitely the nostalgia. Like I
Right.
absolutely love the game. Also, I think there's something to be said about games that because that game was made, you get other games. Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't think
of
you get
course.
Arkham. I don't think you get the Arkham games without Spider-Man 2.
Right.
And I don't think that you get Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War without the Arkham games. And so, it might not hold up very well, but what it did for games, I think is
Yeah.
huge.
My nostalgic game that I'll think back on, and it's going to surprise you guys because I don't talk about it that much. But when I think about games that I'm like, wow, was this game really that good, or was it the nostalgia factor that just kept me that right now every time I even hear about them even making a remaster or the next one's going to be about this, they're going to go back to this location. Man, I loved Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Like I thought,
Yeah, no, you've talked about that game
I
before.
love Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I thought the story, and I really got into Miami Vice later in life. But like it wasn't like I was a kid watching Miami Vice, and I'm like, oh, because if you watch Miami Vice, I mean, even Lance in the game is voiced by the guy who was in Miami Vice, and just that whole story, very
interesting.
like very Scarface, very all these things that I had no idea existed. I'd never watched Scarface, I'd never watched Miami Vice, but I played Vice City and I loved it. I think the music, Like it got me into 80s music because the music was so cool. Like it was just a very unique, well done timepiece of a game, and like the gameplay is all the same as like all the other Grand Theft Autos. You know what I'm saying? It's of that time. Like go back and play GTA 3, like, whew, that's rough. But it's I don't know. It was very entertaining for me. I believe that game for me is straight up nostalgia. I don't think that I could go back today and be like, wow, because I mean, come on, GTA 5. I mean, there's something to be said about. The difference in nostalgia and game design for me is that, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this point, is there's so much to do in games now, and game design has gone so in depth, and like there's so many things.
I can feel Mike's hot stare on me, man, right now because he knows I'm about to talk about The Witcher.
There's like so
one of the best games ever made that I still haven't finished because there's way too much to do
like
in that game.
So much, and I go back to Vice City. I'm like, it was really straightforward. I knew what I had to do. I played the story, and then I could like run people down in my car and like shoot whoever and get tanks.
You know what's
chasing
so interesting? I feel like that's something that makes me love that one of the biggest reasons I love Final Fantasy Tactics. It was simple, like it was just mission after mission. You sort of like got new characters as you went, but it was very, very straightforward.
Right.
I think that kind of comes in waves, though, because when we were kids, every game had like an ending because they didn't have the online or anything.
Right.
Then as we were kind of in our teen years, the whole open world sandbox thing was super popular. Yeah. I mean, you had Oblivion and Skyrim and, Two Worlds or whatever.
Yeah, Two Worlds. We'll tell that story another time.
But now it's coming back around, and you have games like The Last of Us, God of War, the Uncharted series, all these games that are linear, story driven. Like you start and then it's
beginning,
ending.
middle, and end.
Yeah, there's no new game plus. There's no infinite multiplayer. So I just think that's more of a, it comes and goes kind of thing.
Well, let's talk about and I don't know if you played this, Richard, but like let's talk about one of the, and I just didn't mean to point you out, Richard. I just feel like you haven't said a lot, and if you've played this, feel free to jump in. But one of the games I feel like is like the nostalgia king. Let's just have a fun, see if you can guess what I'm thinking. This game is like nostalgia king. Everybody still talks about it. Everybody acts like it was the greatest game literally ever made. Most people you've talked to in the 90s played this game.
GoldenEye?
GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I thought you were
That game was trash.
Like,
we played nothing but that game for years, but that game is absolute trash.
I mean, you think about there's still. I was at PAX. They did a GoldenEye tournament, and it was that everybody lined up to go watch it.
How much of it was people looking at the ceiling because they didn't know how to use the yellow C buttons?
Well, it's like so a game like that. You go
game design nightmare.
People still love it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would love to hear your opinion in the comments. Like, put it down there because I want to know. Like, is it a nostalgia factor or is that game really just that good to you? What's the?
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, I would say I would continue because I thought the game you were going to say was Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time,
okay,
which is I would say another one that has a huge following. And if you've played that game in the last 10 years, it is not as good as you remember.
Right.
But it was the first 3D Zelda. It was the first 3D kind of action adventure RPG kind of game.
That's true.
So
kind of an open world feel too.
a little bit, and not as much. I mean, you wouldn't call it open world now, but think about what you had back in the day.
Back then, it was a huge map.
Yeah,
it was definitely open world back then.
And Trevor, you were talking about the games that come after it build on it. I mean, that's what happens. You were talking like last week. We mentioned Zelda, and everything's compared to those games. They were the first to do it. You build from it. So, I mean, yeah, you critique it because it doesn't age, but I don't know if it's all nostalgia as much as it's just the limitations of the time.
Dude, original Legend of Zelda is an open world game.
Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm. No, the first one.
Original NES Zelda is an open world game. You don't
right.
have to go in any certain order. There is a suggested order that you go in of the dungeons, but I can't go fight Ganon right away, but like I can go to any dungeon I want to that I can physically get to from the start of the game.
And there was no guide. Like you were aware that there was a cave that there was a sword in the beginning.
Right.
That's it. Go figure it out.
Thanks
the
for
rest.
spoiling the final boss.
Oh,
wow.
Dude, that's a whole other topic for all of day. But you go back and play original Legend of Zelda now, and you go, man, those people who like really forged the path in gaming and like played Zelda, made it, dude, that game is not easy to understand. Here's why it clicked to me, thinking of nostalgia in games. The only reason I know what to do in that game because I watched my grandfather play it for years.
Really?
And like because I like if you picked I have you ever played?
Oh, Pap, can I watch you play Zelda again?
That is not how I talk. All right.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Pat.
Okay.
Can
Okay.
he watch you play Zelda again?
Take a sip from your whiskey jar.
Pat,
that sweet tea.
I done milked the calf for you. Can I watch you play the Zelda?
Listen, it was important that the cows got milk before video games were played. Okay, that's just how it was back in the days.
I
Okay.
chop the fire for the stove that keeps the electricity on. Can I please
I'm from Alabama, guys. If you didn't know that already.
If you couldn't pick up on
You
that.
couldn't pick up on that. So back to what I was saying. Have you ever played the original NES Zelda?
No.
Good God, man! You have never played that game.
Nope. Link to the Past, man. Super Nintendo. That's actually my favorite Zelda game.
In ways, it's it's superior than the first one, I think.
Well, of course it is, but you can't. How can you sit at this table and have never played the OG?
I never owned an original
Same.
Nintendo, man.
Same.
I only had the Super
you weren't,
Nintendo.
You weren't around back in the days before.
First of all,
What year were you born?
91, man.
Yeah, Super
1991.
Nintendo days.
If you're talking about nostalgia, one thing for me, I think the biggest nostalgia game for me is Street Fighter 2 Like the sound, like
oh
it's
yeah,
just-
that's it.
just,
That's definitely one of those games
like
that's a pioneer game as well.
Music, the graphics for that time. I mean, even still, I think it holds up today. But even to the point where they came out with like what Ultra Street Fighter 2, like a couple years ago.
Did Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat come first?
Street
Oh,
Fighter.
I don't know. Both of them are arcade games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
Sure,
I was
sure,
going to
sure.
say, like, I'm going to age myself again.
I
but
do think it's Street Fighter.
Yeah, I think it was Street Fighter as well. I'm going to age myself real quick again. I feel like I've been playing Street Fighter 2 in the roller rink arcade. Like we had like a roller rink. We could go in circles and stuff. I played that in the arcade.
Man,
yeah.
another nostalgia
Where you
thing.
took your sweetie back in the day.
Yeah.
Yo,
to get 2 Cokes.
Yo.
and-
Chuck E. Cheese, that X-Men arcade beat 'em up game.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
yes.
can we talk about how
Or
every one of
Turtles
them,
in Time.
Turtles
Oh.
in Time.
Oh, come on, man.
If you're in the Tampa area, go to
Gauntlet, dog.
go to the Replay Museum because they have the Simpsons arcade and they have the Turtles in Time. They don't have the
They
X.
don't
So
got
good.
X-Men. They got them.
But they used
They
to
got
have
a
the
gauntlet
old-
machine too.
They do have a gauntlet machine.
Yeah.
But they used to come down like the say no to drugs thing. Like it was always like the presidential seal and like say no to drugs. It's like, oh, okay, well I wasn't even thinking about doing drugs. I was trying to enjoy my nice day at the roller rink and playing Street Fighter.
Yeah, I'm playing Street Fighter. Nobody's offering me drugs.
No, Daddy.
Right.
No, Daddy. I
Right.
don't want to come home. I'm playing
Anybody-
at the
Smoking
arcade.
reefer and playing at the arcade.
Okay. All right. Well, apparently now I'm from.
on the devil's lettuce.
Apparently now I'm Mr. Hanky when I was growing up. It's apparently what it sounds like. I'm from Alabama. Okay, anyway, so all right, guys, that's about enough of this trash podcast for the day.
Nah, come on, man. Keep it going.
Hey, listen, make sure you tune in next week. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about Avengers Endgame theories, and we're going to be tossing around what we think is going to happen in the movies and whatnot, which I know Richard's really excited about because he's a big Marvel fanboy. Yeah, actually, funny enough, we've been talking about this. This is kind of like the first fan-submitted topic. I had somebody reach out to me when they saw our post on Instagram. I was like, hey, you should do Avengers Endgame theories. And I said, hey,
Absolutely.
what a
Yes.
great idea. And then Mike said it totally of his own consciousness, and I was like, what a great idea again.
Dude, the only thing people are asking for more is my thoughts on Quidditch World Cup, man. So
Many critics agree.
Don't think so.
many,
Don't think so.
many critics agree, man.
So, but yeah, so it's going to be a great podcast next week. Hey, if you're listening to this, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can do that on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. It's on YouTube every week as well. It comes out every Tuesday. I know Mike loves when I give shout-outs to subscribe to our stuff. Go ahead and tell him, Mike.
Come on,
Give
man.
him the
Smash
Go
button.
ahead, go and smash that subscribe button, click the bell, comment, follow our Instagram and our Twitter, check out our Zanga blog,
that's
check out our MySpace page.
Drop into those DMs, man.
Yeah, man.
Let
Do
us
that,
know.
yeah. On a real note, we are on Instagram at 4plot. That's the number 4 PLOT.
That's right.
And
Come
then
hang out with
on
us.
Twitter at 4plot games. On Twitter, and I believe that's probably our Facebook handle, but nobody really goes and visits us on Facebook. So
That's all right, man.
Tell your mom to follow us on
Tell-
Facebook.
Facebook, man.
tell your mom to
Tell your
follow us.
grandma.
All right, that's all we got. Just want to make
What a way to end it, man.
just want to say they also have Man Bear Pig on this
On this Mortal Kombat.
MK
character
list, Mortal
list, man.
Kombat. Okay, that's all the time we got. I'm Will.
Rich.
Trev.
God,
So you're supposed to say our names and then we do our
let's
noise.
do this again. I'm Will.
I'm Richard.
I'm Trev.
I'm Mike.
And that's it for the 4plot podcast. We will see you guys next
love
week
you.
right here.
Yeah.